Hey everybody, welcome to the TOTL Podcast. This is our first Google Hangout thing that we're doing. My name is Ronald, and Andy, what do you look like?
This is me. This is the reality, people. This is what we look like. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm Andy. I'm the weird guy.
Twitter account, they do see our picture.
Yeah, but it's pretty disappointing.
I like the picture. What about you, Marlon? Do you like the picture?
Sometimes I look like this, but most times I look like this.
What was that?
That was a Lego golem.
Lego golem. Well, we're here to do a Noah review. Here's how it's going to go. We're going to talk about it as a film, give pros and cons. We're going to talk about it as a piece of theological reflection, pros and cons. And finally, we're going to talk about as a piece of cultural impact, pros and cons. So Andy, you go first. As a piece of film, what were your pros and cons for Noah by Darren Aronofsky?
Pro, I like the feel of the film. It was kind of dark. It showed a world that was pretty fallen. It looked epic. I mean, the whole look of the movie. I really liked about it. It had a Lord of the Rings-ish tinge, but and it was entertaining. So that was good. Con as far as a film, it was a little long. I could honestly say I think it went about a half hour too long. To where at one point I was just sitting there like, and that falls into the theology stuff too, because it's something that really didn't have to be there. But it made the movie an extra little bit longer that I just don't think it needed to be there. But I did really like the look of the film. The look of the film was really cool, especially the way the pre-flood Earth looked. I thought that was pretty neat.
Okay, Marlon, as a piece of film, what was your pro and what was your con?
For pro, I did like how it was epic. With those rock creatures. What was their name again?
The Watchers.
The Watchers.
The Watchers. Yeah, that kind of gave it an epic, the battle scenes. I really did like that. How Andy said the con for him was that it was too long. When I found out they were casting Russell Crowe for this, I immediately thought, and on the 25th day, as the kids were protesting how bored it was on the Ark, he released one of the tigers and yelled, "Are you not entertained?" So it kind of had you wonder like what they did on the Ark, and I like that. And that wasn't a con for me. But for me, the con was that there wasn't enough character development on the. I don't know how to explain it. There wasn't enough character development post-flood. We knew a lot of it was on the Ark, but after the flood, I wish there was a little bit more after that. So,
yeah, stuff just kind of happened. Like nothing. It got emotional, and then that was about it. Nobody really realized what was going on afterwards.
Right. What about you, Ronald?
For me, the pro, similar to Andy, I love the pre-flood world that they were able to create. To specify, I love that the stars seem to shine bright in the daytime, which was different. I love that they shot in New Zealand. The ground, the landscape looked different.
That was Lord of the Rings land.
Yeah, New Zealand. And I loved the magical world they created, especially with Methuselah, with his spiritual powers. It made me think of, hey, maybe that's what the whole Old Testament blessing thing was about. It made me think of that. Con, I agree with Andy again. It was a little bit long, 20 minutes long, too many scenes inside the boat and not enough after the flood. And agreeing with you again, Marlon, I wish there was a little more after the flood, where they're kind of they're the characters reflecting what does this mean for us. I wish there was more of that, a little bit more explicit, which spills into the theology thing. So let's talk about theology. This film is a piece of theological reflection. What were your pros and cons, Andy?
Well, yeah, this kind of leaks into what I was saying before. For one of the pros, I really liked. There was a scene where Noah, and by the way, spoiler alert, if anybody didn't know about this, we're reviewing the whole movie. Spoiler alert. So there was, there's a flood. Ooh, surprise. No, one of the scenes I really liked was when Noah went out into the camp, and saw these people, and they were fighting, and they were raping, and they were, just doing these awful. One guy traded in his kids for food, for meat. I mean, and then when they panned out, and it was just this den of just wickedness. And I thought that was really a good, like a good quick shot, a representation of the wickedness. I mean, how far this world had fallen from the perfect world that God had created, just a couple generations earlier. It wasn't that far removed that this is when it happened. I thought that was a really good representation of how wicked the world was, that God wanted to get rid of it, or God wanted to cleanse it. Con, from a theology point of view, I really had a rough time with Aronofsky's choice of what he left out and what he put in. And it affected the whole movie. The stuff he left out was important. Like if Noah was speaking to God like he did in the Old Testament, like actively conversing with him, a lot of the plot points would have changed. They wouldn't have had an issue with the babies. The sons were adults. They would have had wives. Like, it changed a lot of the stuff. So there's a lot of things that happened that just didn't need to happen because they were either left out or put in from the actual biblical account, which I found very interesting.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with that. Noah conversing with God, I think as believers we know that it's a lot easier than what they're depicting to talk with God.
Mm-hmm.
Marlon, theology, what was your pro, what was your con?
I really loved the creator. At first I was kind of struggling with that. I was like, why are they not referring to him as God? Why are they not referring to him as God? And we talked about this. And, there really wasn't the word God or Yahweh. That wasn't established yet. Lord, that wasn't established yet. And so creator, I thought that was great. And, when you have the word creator, that establishes your purpose and your purpose if you know your origin. And so I really felt I've learned to embrace that. And I really do appreciate that. As far as con, I was reading in Relevant magazine, Ari Handel, one of the co-writers, and he wrote in this interview with Relevant magazine, he said, that their intentions is that nothing that they actually did directly contradicted the Genesis story. And as Andy mentioned, there were some contradictions to the Genesis story.
Yeah.
Like not directly speaking with God, and I don't agree with that statement from Ari Handel, and I think that's what it was. A lot of it, I think Noah missed the boat. If I'm going to use any kind of puns, right? Noah missed the boat on what the intentions were with this flood. I don't know if that was the director's intentions or if that was just Noah's character, but he was driven by the wrong intentions with this whole thing.
Yeah. No, both Noah and the director, I think.
Right. Let's just cover all.
Was driven by the wrong intentions, and in the movie, the character of Noah was driven for the wrong intentions because he wasn't conversing with God like he was supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah. Ronald, how about you?
My theology pro was how Noah comes back to his family after visiting the evil people, and he realizes we kept thinking this whole time that they're evil and we're not, but we're just as evil. Let's not assume anything. I thought that was a very powerful message, especially to our modern age when all of us think, well, we're not barbarians anymore. But I love how they pointed out that even love can turn into evil, because Noah says to his wife, "You love our son, so do I. I'm willing to kill." And the answer is yes. So that's how messed up we are too. I thought that was a powerful piece of something that we moderns really need to contend with. We really are sinners in need of God's mercy. Speaking of mercy, that's my theological con. I wish the mercy of God was played out more. It was only hinted at.
Right.
And, that's kind of my regret. I wish they cut out some stupid episodes in the boat and spent more time on land after the rainbow talking about the mercy of God.
Yeah, especially since the son of Cain, that whole thing with the boat trying to kill, that never happened. And the whole thing with the babies trying to kill one of the babies, that never happened. Like, it could have been filled in with stuff that actually could have happened, like more about the redemptive purpose of the whole thing, as opposed to a third act with action and suspense.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for me, the redemptive act in this whole movie was when they were on land and Russell Crowe had the conversation with Emma Watson, and she said, he put those choices in your hand for you to make. And I think that whole conversation was just like, okay, we do have a choice to have second chances again, and that to me was the redemptive factor, off the screen and on the screen as well.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, now it's our final segment of this movie review. We want to talk about what is the cultural impact of this film, pros and cons. Andy, take it away.
Well, the pro, honestly, is since even as the movie was building up, there was a lot of people talking about it. Christians were like, we're going to boycott it. Other Christians like, I can't wait for it to come out. The pro, honestly, I mean, God will use all things for his good. And, I've talked to a lot of people who either didn't know the story, like they had a Sunday school concept of the flood story. And this has brought them into a need for a more mature understanding of the Old Testament. And they've come to me knowing who I am. It's like, well, you're Christian, what do you think? Or what did you think of this? Or what did you think of the Watchers? And I was like, I had to explain to them, by their definition in the movie, the Watchers weren't even Nephilim, a half angel, half human. They were just straight up fallen angels, which makes them demons. So by that very definition, it was wrong in the movie. But these little things that people would pick out, I'd be able to talk to them, and it turns into a ministry tool. You talk to people who would never have asked the question. The same thing happened years ago with the Da Vinci Code, Passion of the Christ, any movies like that where a controversy is attached to it, and all of a sudden you're using that to speak to people that who never would have asked you a question about it otherwise. As far as con goes, there's going to be a lot of people who see this, take it as 100% fact, and either think Christians are even more crazy for believing that, or thinking that that's what actually happened. And I think that's a big con, because there's enough people who are lazy enough who will be like, oh, I got my feeling of God for the month or for the year. I'm good. I went to go see Noah. That's it. And they're going to think that's it, and that's it. It's going to give out misinformation. So that's
Marlon, what's your pro and con for cultural impact of Noah film?
I definitely think that a pro is, as Andy said, opening a door for us to tell a story of redemption and speaking about mercy. As you said, we're no better than anybody else. God has shown us mercy and grace because he is a loving God. And, if you read the story of Noah, it shows that God grieved for this earth. And that's why he was like, I have to redo everything. He's like man, the sin of men is hurting my heart. And that's how much he wanted to just bring everything back to restoration. And that's how much God loves humanity. He wants to be with mankind. But sin just separated us so far from that. So it's us allowing us to tell that story. So as Andy said, God could use this as a tool to just open that. Maybe not the movie story itself, but the movie itself. Con, you know what? It's how if people watch this movie, or whether if they not watch this movie, it's already causing a disturbance within the Christian community, and I'm just scared that people are gonna be like, oh, these Christians are fighting over something again, and I'm hoping that there's there's something that could be salvaged from all that. That it's not one of those things that tears the church up too far, as it's already doing on social media between extreme Christians, or if you're pro, God is judgmental, or you know what I mean, like don't go watch this movie versus yes, watch this movie and stop bashing this movie, because I already see it happening on social media, and I see people who aren't Christian, and they're like, oh, another feud within the Christian family. So that just breaks my heart. And Ronald, what about you?
Cultural Impact Pro. I agree with all of you guys. Just today, I read that YouVersion Bible app released their finding a week after Noah movie. People reading Genesis chapters 6 through 9 has jumped significantly. So now we have data, proof showing that people are engaging the book of Genesis as a result of this movie. And also film reviewers clap to that. Film reviewers of major publications like Variety and /film.com are writing theological reviews and showing their Christian colors, linking their article to people like John Piper, etc. So that's really great. Cultural Impact Con, I don't see anything, because
Fine.
I don't see any cons. We're talking about this right now. We can talk about the gospel through this. Marlon, you talked about how creation needs to be taken care of. Well, the gospel says we work to do that, but we do that because our hope is when Christ returns, we have new heavens and a new earth. Jesus actually will renew the physical world, universe as well. Well, it looks like my video cut out, but at least we've got audio. Thanks, guys, for joining. This is live recording. This is Google Hangout. Hopefully we get to do this again. Marlon, you want to say adios to our audience?
Adios.
Andy?
Yeah, see, well, real quick before we go, there's a lot of stuff we didn't cover that we've talked about in conversations. The thing about the vegetarian part, or the animals, or the wicked people, or the Cain stuff, the creation story looking like like a scene out of Cosmos. There's plenty more to put on there. So by all means, comment on the videos, hit us up on Facebook, give us your opinion. There's plenty more to talk about. This is a good place to dialogue with people. So yeah, adios.
Alrighty, guys, you can find us on Facebook.com/TOTL Podcast. That's TOTL. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, all that. Just look for TOTL Podcast, TOTL. All right, thanks for watching, and keep subscribing, keep sharing. Good night, everybody.